Hey fellas, welcome to the latest video, which is entirely to do with the financial results that Renault posted in the middle of the week that we're in. And it's, to my surprise, and I guess to the surprise of many shareholders and journalists out there, has been revealed in quite a positive light because everyone expected it to be a tough year with a lot of negative results, and that just wasn't the case. So even though the overall income was actually nothing great to speak of. And in fact, Renault made a loss as a group, but the operating income, from their vehicle sales was a positive. And that was extremely, extremely surprising given the issues that we know the company has been going through. Two major ones at that. The first one being the war in Russia, Ukraine, and that led to Renault having to basically give away the brand that they own in Russia, afterwards, for nothing. And so that's a major, major loss. And then they still need to exit that country. And there's costs involved in all of that. So with international pressure, it meant they had to give it away to the Russian government for zero. Um, that was the one big issue. The second one is the semiconductor shortage. And that limited something like 300,000 odd vehicles that Renault couldn't deliver on, which is a massive, massive loss, as you'd imagine. And I know Luca de Mayo did say that even for the next 2 years that they have the semiconductor issue. But given those two major issues, and to see the financial results, it was very, very impressive. And a lot has to do with the change in the model that Renault are working off, which is moving away from quantity and focusing on quality and a higher sales vehicle price. So that's why we're seeing, some of the smaller vehicles being sort of shelved. Things like, Megane Sport and all of that, which is not really a profitable business for Renault. That's sort of been segmented separately into the Alpine brand. And speaking of the Alpine brand, just quickly, I just read an article where they're looking to enter the US market, going through AutoNation, which is one of the sellers there in America. So that's, you know, um, quite an interesting thing because we know the Americans like the sports cars. It's a big market there. So to see Alpine being focused in that market is a positive thing for me. We know that Renault operated there many, many years ago, but they had to pull out of those markets, the North American market in general. But seeing Alpine go there will be something definitely that is going to be very interesting. And I think there's a lot of potential there. So that's just something quickly that I spotted about the Alpine brand. But moving back to the financial results, I'm going to share a couple of articles and we can go through them. Okay, so the first one, which we can look at, is from Reuters, and it says Renault restores dividends on improving outlook. So it's the first time in quite a while where it is first time in 4 years that Renault is actually able to give the shareholders some dividends. And that just tells you that the money which the company has um, can now be actually given back to shareholders, and they'll appreciate that. They wouldn't give dividends if the company needed money to sort of pull itself out of a lot of debt or to carry on important ventures which would help the income. But given the financial results and the expected growth on it, they were able to pay out some shares to the dividends and shares to the shareholders. So that's a big thing, right? So if we go down, okay, this is just talking about the financial details. I'm not going to get into full detail with all of that, as I'm not an analyst or anything like that. But yeah, the dividends part is what I wanted to show in this article particularly. There's some pictures here about some of the vehicles that they have lined up. A lot of just concept vehicles at that, but here's a Renault 4 electric. And then what do they have? Okay, that's just some. This is the headquarters in Billancourt. Okay, and one of the interesting now that I see Dasha here is that company was the most successful in the Renault brand. I mean, price per volume, they outsold everyone. So that's incredibly um, prosperous for Renault as a whole. Okay, and there's a lot of work going on to even increase the output that Dasha is able to do. So that's one of the things that was spoken about in the presentation. All right, so okay, that's pretty much what we can pull out from this article. And the second one is the part which I spoke about right up front, to say that Renault's profitability was there, but they made an overall loss due to the two factors, the Russia exit and then the semiconductor shortage. All right, so this, I'll put the links to the article so you can have a full look into it. Here's the part about Renault having to hand over 68% stake of its aftervars to the Russian government, and remember, zero income for Renault on this, so it was a massive loss, but something they were forced to do, unfortunately. Um, Undoubtedly, without that, they would have been in the profit as overall company, but um, that's just how it goes. And then one of the important things to take into consideration when you do hand out your financial results is, one, to see the shares, movement of the shares on the market after that's been delivered. And Renault's was actually up. So it says Renault shares jumped 1.9%, right? This was on the day of the results coming out. So people saw value in what came out there. So even though they see a loss, but if you go into the details and what was actually said, there's massive promise there coming out of the brand. That's the second thing. That's the first thing, sorry, about noticing what's important on the presentation. The second thing is the Q&A from the journalists. So I'll also put a link in this video to the live, well, it was live back then, but the actual presentation. And then there were some interesting questions from journalists, and a lot of them actually congratulated DeMeo and his team on the results. So that's another important thing, right? Okay, this is the second article. The third one, which I wanted to show, and I did speak about this, was the Alpine in America. So Renault looking to sell there. This is just exciting. I mean, this is not going to be any short-term gains profit-wise for the company, but it's a massive thing in terms of getting your brand back into North America, right? And we know that selling something like this can be very viable for Renault. So let's see what happens there, guys. But anyway, this is essentially what I wanted to make this video about. And for me, in a nutshell, very, very promising to Renault. Well done to them on these results. And yeah, hopefully I expect 2023, 2024 to be years where the brand sort of redirects into the future of where they want to go with the Ampere program and so forth, in terms of getting investors into that program, which we know they're looking for. And we'll also see the partnerships that come out in the alliance, Renault, Nissan, and which projects they want to undertake together, which ones Renault, Nissan is looking to invest in there. We already know in India there's $600 million investment between Renault and Nissan and building vehicles there. So that's already something that's come out. And then I think from 2025 onwards, we're going to see massive, massive growth in the brand. So it's a massive thumbs up from me to Renault, and a positive outlook at that in general. So all the best to them, and thanks for watching this video, guys. I'm out.